Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for being here for the first day here with us today. We're excited to kick things off with our President of Soccer Operations, Pat Onstad.
Oh, right away. Okay. This is my, we call it my signing jacket, so just so you guys know. And I've been pretty happy that I've been able to wear it quite a few times in the last few weeks. So I wanted to open up just with a bit of a story to talk about, where this club is, what this club kind of means to me, what this club means to our owner. I'll flash back, so please bear with me because some of you have been in this room when I was a player, and it kind of starts there. So in 2005, Wade Barrett, Dominic Kinnear, and I, we get a phone call saying, guys, I think the team's going to move. We have a team meeting, we hop in which is really nice, a private jet, fly out here by AEG, our ownership group at the time, spend the night. We knew right away something different was going to happen. We actually stayed at a Four Seasons, and at that stage, I think we were staying at Motel 6s in the MLS, so it was a nice upgrade. But we came out to City Hall here, and some of you I've seen here were at that meeting where there was somewhere between, 2,500 to 5,000 people greeting the team. It was unbelievable. AEG was super excited, enough that they went and got a stadium built downtown, which is now our home, Shell Energy Stadium. And it was a really exciting time. And the city, that team, obviously a very successful team that came through in the 5 years that I played here, was something I've still remember to this day, and certainly one reason that attracts me to come back to this city. Fast forward 17 years, I get an opportunity to interview for this job. And I'm interviewing Ted Siegel, who I'm sure is going, is this guy, this ex-player, have any idea how to run a soccer operations department? Is he the right guy for this team? Is it the right fit? At the same token, little did Ted know, I'm actually kind of trying to figure out what's his motivation. How does he feel about the team? Is this something, he wants to do? Is this something, he's just trying to see what he wants, what's going forward in his mind. So we're kind of feeling each other out as we go through. Very fortunately, he hires me and gives me an opportunity to run this club. Right out of the gate, he showed, his ambition and where the team wants to go. Within the first 6 weeks, we go sign a DP in Sebastian Herrera. A few weeks later, I think I've told this story a few times, we had a set budget. Asher Mendelson, our technical director, the two of us went in, said, here's our set budget. And within about 10 days, we said, hey, we got a chance to sign Hector Herrera. Are you willing to spend more money to bring this player into this market? Ted goes, let me sleep on it. Next morning, he calls me before I woke up and says, let's go. So here's a guy that's putting his money behind the team. But when I knew, for me, with Ted, so I'm like, great, I've got the financial support. We go build a team, I think, at 23. We go win a trophy, 24. We have points record. But when I knew Ted was investing in this team, and it meant more to him than just an investment, but when he said, this is my team, is we're on the field in Miami in 2023. We're lifting the Open Cup. I see him with his family, the joy on his face, how proud he was of not just the executive group that had kind of run this team, but the players, the situation, and where he'd brought the fans that had traveled all the way down to Miami or Fort Lauderdale to watch that game. That's when I knew, and I'm watching Ted interact with the players, with the fans, with the staff. I realized he's in it here because he loves this team. He loves his team and he loves his city. And what you don't know, then a side note to that, is you're like, well, what's his connection with the players? Well, I had to coax him, Asher and I both coaxing him and Lyle Hayes, a minority owner, to come into the locker room, have a few beers, and he comes in the locker room, players, come on, Ted, get him in front, douse him in beer, and they're tossing him up and down in the locker room. So I don't think you see that too often with owners and pro sports teams, but he is committed to this team and he's committed to this city, and I'm very fortunate that that's who my owner is. So I kind of want to start with that, because I think the next step too is when I came here, Asher and I both sat down with Ted and we said, listen, we want to build a sustainable winner. We don't want to just do this for 23 and 24. We want to continue to do this. Last year I think obviously the results didn't happen on the field, but it was a situation and a series of 10 years of spending every last dime you possibly could in the salary cap just to try to put a winner on the field, and at some point, you got to pay the piper. So we had to go and we had to make some tough decisions. We made a tough sale with Mikel just before the season. We didn't do a good job. I think Asher and I will own that one. We didn't do a good job of replacing him. But what we did do is we developed a lot of young players. We gave Brooklyn Raines an opportunity. We gave Jack McGlynn an opportunity. We got Lawrence Anali back on the field. We gave a Felipe Andrade an opportunity to play. And I think we've got a really good core. But what I'm really excited about this season, so That part of it, we move on to this year, and what it did is it opens up a ton of cap space. We enter this season with the third most cap space in any team in the league, and I look at our off season so far, and you'll get to meet these guys, and I'll just make you Guilherme, who's a winger from Santos, Lucas Halter, a center back who was on loan from Botafogo at Vitória, has had a successful career, a younger player. We got Agustín Bouzat from Velez, who just came off of 24, winning 3 titles. And then we bring back Héctor Herrera as well. All 4 of them captains, all 4 of them leaders, all 4 of them champions. That's what this team wants to be this year. We want to go, and we're going to push. The expectation for us now is to be successful. Now, what does that mean? We'll wait and see where this group goes and how they gel together. But we are very excited about the core group we have. And I think when you look at the offseason, a lot of thanks goes to Asher Mendelson, the hard work he did in the offseason to get these guys across the line. To get to this point, we're doing really well. We still have a couple more moves to have. We still have another DP slot that's open. We still have a TAM defender that we can go get. I think if we can go and try to get those ones across the line, I really like our group. And I think we've given Ben a team that he's really excited to coach, and moving forward, we still have a nice blend of youth. But I'm really excited about this team this year, as you can kind of tell by hearing my voice. This is going to be an exciting season for us. Thanks.
All right, great. With that, we'll open up for questions right here.
Good morning, Pat.
Morning.
Preseason, you mentioned about it a little bit. You go from, you want to bring back champions, I believe 2 years ago, mindset.
Yep.
Last year, let's go younger. Now you have a mix. Just overall, as your time here, like, what have you learned, and how do you apply that to this year?
Yeah, part of the younger one was, as we talked about the cap space, we didn't have much cap space last year, so younger players tend to be a little cheaper, and you have to take a little bit of a risk. Like a Pablo Ortiz is a good example. You get him on a free loan, and you have to try to see, or a very low price loan, to try to see how he does. But I think what we learned is that we needed to, at some point, we needed to open up some cap space and try to give ourselves an opportunity to build a really good team. And we've been able to do that last year. And what we've done now in this offseason is, and it's hard. Like you can ask any CSO and any technical director around the league, it's hard to get deals done. And so far we've got four big ones done, and we're going to keep pressing to get more. But it gave us that opportunity to get those done. And the year previous, even if all 4 of these players were available, we could not have got any of them done with the cap space that we had.
And then to follow up,
Yep.
just to knock it out, I mean, getting Héctor back, what does that mean to you and the team?
Yeah, I'm excited because I know Héctor. He'll probably tell you he didn't leave the way he wanted to leave. There were a lot of decisions, and we've talked about this before. You know, he was on a very different number than he is now, so that's one. But it was a great opportunity for him as well. Chance for him to go back to the Mexican market, play with a great team, won 2 titles down in Toluca. It's pretty successful. And, you know, let's not kid ourselves, get paid a lot of money down in Toluca than what was on the table here for him. So, but we're excited to come back. He's in a different phase of his life and his career, and he'll let him explain that to you. But we're really excited to have him back. And he has a great relationship with Ben, a great relationship with our group. And to address the incident when he left, I said it at the time, and I'll say it over and over again. That's not his character. There are a lot of things that kind of led up to that for him off the field, not on the field. Certainly wasn't a reaction towards the referee. And it's something I think he wants to make right. And I think you'll see that from his behavior and his actions this year. Oh, there we go. Hey.
Hey, Matt. There have been a lot of reports of Bouzat coming from Preseason, and is he really, really close? Can you tell us how close is that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a player under contract with another team. I don't really want to comment on that. Like I said before earlier, we have another DP spot open, and he's a player that's had success in our league. But we'll see what happens over the next few weeks. Hey, Nate, how are you? Good. Yeah, you too.
How much better do the new acquisitions make you as you look?
Significantly. We'll see what happens with Héctor, whether he's a starter or not. He's certainly got the capability of being a starter. But the other 3, I'm not the coach. It's Ben's choice. But we signed them to get them on the field and let them play. So I think just those 3 alone, and if Héctor's involved as well, it certainly makes us a lot deeper and gives us a lot more options. So a significant upgrade than we had last year.
Hey, Pat.
Hi.
What can you tell us about, Héctor coming back? Just how did that kind of unfold? When did this talks begin, and when was that kind of a real possibility?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been. We see Hector here once in a while when he gets a chance. His son's in our academy. David's done quite well in our academy as well. So we see him every once in a while. So it's not there's open dialogue all the time, but it came together pretty quickly. Probably over a span of 3-4 weeks. But the bigger one for him, I mean, I think he's leaving opportunities back in Mexico where financially it would be a better move for him. But like I said, at this stage of his life and his career, I think he's looking for different challenges.
And just follow up, his suspension, I know has been talked about. He was
Yeah.
suspended by MLS, but he did serve a suspension. For
Correct.
What can you tell us about coming back?
What we've been told by the league and our player relations department is that he has served his suspension and he'll be available.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, David.
So as far as DPs and managing DPs and U22s, correct me if I'm wrong, but Nelson Quiñones will not be a U22?
Right now, he is a U22. A lot of that and a lot of our DP tags that we put on people is to do with cap constraints and the rules of the league. But right now, he is a U22.
Yeah, and then as far as, will you go 3 DPs or 4 or 2 or 3? What's the model that going on?
4? I'd like to get 4. We'll see. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, but you never know. Sometimes that's how I figure out the rules too. So, yeah, I think right now we're looking at trying to fill the 3rd DP slot, and we'll keep working on that, and hopefully try to put the best team on the field that we can. Start opening kick on the 21st.
Thank you. I hope Pat-
Hey, Alex.
Happy-
Morning.
good to see
Thanks. You too.
For fans that are seeing 4 proven champions and what you're starting to build here, what's the message about this season? And back maybe to what you said, what's the expectation
Yeah.
fans should have of what the Dynamo will be?
Yeah, I think from day one, I've always said playoffs gives you a chance to win a championship. Well, I think we have this team that we put together even at this point, and we're still not finished. I think this team gives us a very good chance, and I think Ben, reluctantly as a coach, will probably tell you the same, gives us a good chance to make the playoffs. The issue for us is 29 other teams that are putting good teams together. So I don't want to come out and say we're going to win an MLS Cup or it's bust. The odds aren't so good. But I think we have a very good team, and I think we have a team that can push if they come together at the right time. That we have a chance to push. I mean, I don't think anyone expected in 23 that we'd make the run we did for the U.S. Open Cup. So a lot of our sport is timing and building momentum. But I think we give ourselves a really good chance to build that momentum.
Pat, quickly, and it's a huge World Cup year, so
Yeah.
maybe the non-soccer people will be following the team. Are you?
I hope so.
organization- Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
To piggyback off that, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I think we've talked about a few things with the front office about where we train and try to become a little more exposed to just the person around town or visitors coming in who are watching soccer. I think there'll be some opportunity coming out of the World Cup and our build up with them. If we can attract some teams here for us to play. But most importantly is to come out and see this group. But we have to put something on the field that people are going to be proud of. I mean, that's our goal. Our goal is to put a team on the field that's extremely competitive. I think we're getting there. We're very close, and a team that not just our fans will be proud of. I mean, our fans, we're very fortunate. We have a great group of fans that really get behind this team, but we want to make our city proud too. They want them to say, okay, that team resonates with me, and I think we're well on our way to that.
Carlos Nava, ESPN.
Hey, Carlos.
How was the process to sign again Héctor Herrera? When did the talk begin?
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably about 4 weeks ago. I believe actually, Asher, you might have been the first person that was contacted. We have a good relationship with his agent too, Gabriel Maras, who's now become a friend of ours and stuff, and helps us when we talk to him. We have questions on the market, so he just kind of called and said, "What would the interest level be? What could that look like?" Doing his job, and we'd also seen Hector a few times, and we thought there might be some inklings that he'd be interested in coming back. So it came together pretty quickly, if I'm being honest, and he's been amazing so far. So very, very quick and early. So we'll see how he continues.
What are the Héctor Herrera expectations? Or what did he say to you when he signed again?
Yeah, actually, I mean, essentially what I'm repeating is what Hector's saying is he wants to come here and he wants to help lead this team. He's trying to go for more, like he felt in 23, he's gone on the record and said that's one of the best championships he ever won. He led a team that I don't think we had that expectation to win a trophy at the beginning of the year, but as the year grew, you could feel the momentum of the group and the group gel together, and a lot a big part of that was him. He had a successful year too. I believe it was only 1 or 2 goals, but like 17 assists from a deep playing playmaker is a lot. So, you know, his expectation is to try to add to that and bring more trophies to this group. But most importantly too, for him now, his focus is on leading this group. Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, how are you?
You talk about you don't want to say it's a championship or bust season, but
I'm not going to say that. So I just don't put words in my mouth. I'm not saying that.
no, I know. I'm saying so.
Is it playoff or bust? I mean, that's one way to look at it a bit. I mean, and I think you know, from my perspective, that would be missing the playoffs 3 out of 5 years. That would be disappointing in my mind. So we're certainly setting up with the team to make the playoffs and make a run. You know, lots of things can happen in our sport, injuries and stuff, but we're trying to build a team that can kind of prevent that. We're trying to build a much deeper team than we've had in the past. Last year, for example, Eric Shevchenko, it was very difficult for him to stay healthy and stay on the field, and that's one player, and that kind of derailed our whole season. Like, we can't have a team like that, so we've worked really hard this year to make sure, you know, Eric Shevchenko, Antonio Carlos, Lucas Halter, and we think Felipe Andrade can be the 4th center back. That's 4 for 2 spots, and 3 of them are absolutely elite and experienced guys. So, like, just for as an example of one position, we want to make sure that we're kind of injury-proofing our team with the hope that we can go and make a run at this thing. But don't put those words in my mouth.
Hi, Pat. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Obviously, there's a lot of focus on the field performance when it comes to these 4 new signings. But can we talk a little bit about the culture and how each of these
Thank you.
players plays a unique role inside the locker room and also possibly in the stands?
Yeah, I don't know. David was just telling me that someone had tweeted out saying maybe they should just Adidas should just put captain armbands into all the jerseys for the team. So, which I thought was kind of interesting. But yeah, that's a big piece of it. We're working actually with an outside company to help us build our culture and kind of go through it again. It's it's been 4 years since we've really kind of tackled that again. But I think part of that is to bring in players here that develop culture. And like, culture and winning isn't just about going out and playing a game for 90 minutes and then being successful. It's about what you do on the training field every day. It's how you prepare. Do you come in the morning? Do you do your prehab? Do you go into your activation? Are you eating properly? Are you taking care of yourself off the field? That's leadership. And then when guys aren't, to be able to go up into that player and say, hey, let's go. And I think last year, because we got young, these guys are still learning how to be pros. And we didn't have enough guys in the locker room to be able to help them out. We still have some leaders in there, Antonio Carlos, Eric Shevchenko, Artur, but we didn't have enough. And I think now with these guys, that will really help our locker room. It'll help Ben be able to manage. And we're excited to have that sort of pedigree in our locker room now.
If I may, you just spoke about the dynamic within the club, Héctor and Jack.
Yeah.
That seems like a perfect marriage.
Sure. Yeah, it does. It sounds pretty good. That's why we signed him. No, I think there's, I think for Jack, it's important for him. This is a really big year for Jack McGlynn. You know, where he's coming off, unfortunately, a 5th metatarsal fracture, but he's pretty much been out with the group, so he'll be fine once the season starts. And it's a big year for him. Is he going to get a chance to make the World Cup squad? We'll see. He missed out on a couple of camps, which, obviously makes it difficult for him. But if he can get off to a good start, we know Pochettino likes him as a player, and he's got that special skill set that not all American players have. So it's a big year for him, and to win, I think, is going to be important for him.
Do you force that relationship, or it's natural, it's organic? Does that make sense?
They're rooming together for the next 8 months. No, I don't force it. Hopefully Ben does. But he's, they are a little bit different in the way they play. But having those guys, and I would say, like, Bouzat's a player that I think you guys will quickly kind of go, okay, I get it. Yeah, he's a guy that plays in really tight areas and moves the ball really quickly. Doesn't have the range that Jack has, but I think he'll be a really good example for Jack. Like, get the ball moving, get it quick, and then move into these other spaces. So there's going to be a lot of these guys that maybe don't necessarily have to sit down and talk to Jack, but Jack, from example, will take a look and go, all right, okay, I can improve my game by trying to doing some of these things that these guys have. Yeah. Sure.
What kind of player do you think you are getting with Agustín Bouzat?
For us, first off, a winner, a guy that competes. It's funny, he's not a very big guy. You'll see him come in, you go, really? He's not a big guy, but he is feisty and he is physical. He protects his team and he moves the ball quickly. He's not a playmaker. He's not a guy that's going to go score 6 goals or 5 goals, but he's a guy that makes the team tick. He's kind of the engine room type of player. Nice guy that gets on the ball and is willing to get on it in really tight areas. And he's had a lot of success down in Argentina, so we're excited to have him. And he seems pretty excited so far with his family as well, so that's great. There we go. Oh, there we go. Hey.
Pat, with the acquisition of these 3 midfielders, you saw the problem that you had last year in the midfield, and now you expect Onstad to explode goals, because that's what the part that Onstad didn't get the goals from.
You mean, yeah, well, because we had too many midfielders last year?
No.
Because we didn't get the service, you're saying? Exactly. Yeah, okay, no, okay, sorry. I was trying to connect the two. I think with, again, I talked a little bit about the center back situation. Guys are going to have to compete for playing time. That's the point here. So we're trying to get better. But to your point about Ponce, as you know, Jack McGlynn, again, we're still looking at a DP player, which I think you can kind of lead you down that path. Somebody that hopefully can provide service for Ponce as well. We think Guilherme can do that. And the example I have of the Guilherme and Santos needed to win their last 3 games of the year in Serie A and Brazil to stay up. He had 4 assists in those last 3 games, in the most pressure-packed games that he had. He's a guy that can help make players around him better and provide that service. But I think our team as a whole, I would like to see Zeke, and I think he's pretty excited. You can see this last week. He's pretty pumped with the guys that we have in market, and I think he'll be able to get a lot more service and hopefully score more goals. Yep, go ahead. Yeah. He, just for the record, he's like probably my favorite guy I've ever been around. He's the best. Yeah, he's a wonderful human being too. But he wanted to get back down. He wanted to go south, and he wanted to go to and take a different challenge on. And he was a free agent. We spoke to him about trying to keep him here, and we never even really got that far negotiating. He just said, I'd like a different challenge, and I think part of it was his new fiancée. So I think, in a good way. Not please don't say that. It was a good way. I think they both just said it's a time for a new challenge and let's go. No, it was. He's a wonderful human being. I really enjoyed him. Ben will tell you it drove him nuts at times, but he's. I think there's not a guy here that doesn't love that guy. Yeah.
Hey Pat.
Hey.
I know you guys are in the same boat, or everybody's in the same boat rather. The challenges and advantages and disadvantages of trying to play during a World Cup year with such a long pause during the summer, and what you guys are trying to accomplish this year.
I think our guys are probably pumped about it. They're like, oh, you mean in the hottest time of the year I get a week off? That'll be okay. So I think it'll be exciting. I mean, the city's going to have a big buzz, and I think the players will feed off of that. I think they'll be really excited. If anyone has any connections for tickets, please let me know. There's a lot of requests so far. But any time that the focus is on soccer in our city, and we know the city supports the sport, I think it's good for our club. And I think for our players, they'll feed off that energy.
One right here.
Pat, I have to ask about the organization cutting ties with Glenn Davis. Is this a blow to the organization?
A blow to the organization? Listen, I think what I'll say about Glenn is Glenn has supported me for 20 plus years. When I was a player, I think when I had a bad game, he'd call it out and let me know. And I think in the same position what I'm doing here, I think if he sees something that he thinks is a mistake or he's questioning something, he'll question me. And I think that's fine. I think we have a really good friendship. Grab a coffee together usually about once a year or so. So I can't answer that question. I don't know. Well, time will tell. But I think he's a huge supporter of soccer in this city. He was a huge supporter of soccer with this club. And like I said, for me, I'd call him a friend, and I'm sure he'd probably do the same with me as well. Yeah, I mean, I didn't say anything to Glenn, but I actually saw his tweet yesterday. That's certainly, I don't believe, was a factor. In the end, I care a lot about Glenn, and that's probably about all I can say about that. But thanks for asking.
Pat, one more from me. I know it's for next year, but the schedule change, if possible, could you mention or speak about it?
Sure. So the way the league is operating, eventually what they want to do in a year and a half is pivot to starting in the summer and ending in the I guess the in the springtime. So to do that, we're going to have a condensed 6-month season, calling it the sprint season. It'll be a 14-game season, so it'll be nice and short and sharp. It'll be exciting because there's no kind of messing around. Can't go on a 5-game losing streak, that's for sure. I think for us, we're leading in, and this is part of our roster planning, is we're trying to bring these guys in as soon as possible to get acclimatized to our group, to acclimatize to our coaching staff, and hopefully have a really successful team. And then in the next off season, because it's such a short season, you're going to have time to adapt that group. So our hope is that this group is together for 18 months, and this group is a top-level group, and that we keep pushing forward.
Do you find it as a disadvantage starting later in the year?
I don't know about disadvantage. I think there's some things like we like the heat. We brag about the heat. You know, we take advantage of it. We'll lose some of those games, but I certainly would. If I was in the front office, I'd be like, okay, that's nice. I don't have to put people in the stands in July, and I can understand that. You know, we'll adapt as a soccer organization from the soccer operations side. We'll adapt. We'll figure that out. But I think for us, it's exciting. I'm happy that we're going to change the calendar. I think it gives us a competitive opportunity that we haven't had in the past. And, you know, we try to go in this window is very difficult to go find a DP. You can do it in Mexico because they have 2 seasons. You can do it in Brazil because they kind of have 2 seasons. But if you go to Europe right now, you're saying, hey, I want your best player right in the middle of your season. They look at you, okay, well, he's a $3 million player, but if you want him, you can buy him for 8. So we're either overpaying for players or we're just not able to get them. And I think by aligning the calendar, that will give us a much better opportunity. And the one piece which lots of people have mentioned before, so this isn't rocket science. I'm not ahead of the curve here, but the free agent market is the summer, especially for Europeans, and that's the time when our league will be able to compete for that much better.
All right. Pat, I just wanted to ask you about
Sure.
the goalkeeper, something you know well.
Not really.
But you had brought Jonathan in last year, you still have Jimmy.
Yeah.
You have some young guys, Blake.
Yeah.
Pedro Dynamo too, you signed Logan. It's probably up to Ben and Marcelo ultimately, but how do you kind of see
Yeah, we're kind of bullish on our goalies, and you're right. Like, we're probably a little too deep. There's certainly some opportunities. I think if we can find for some of the younger guys, it's important as goalkeeper. This I do know. You got to play games, and you got to find games for these guys. So that'll be our battle. I think if you have Pedro, Logan, and Blake, and we even have a young kid named Roman Kirchhoff in the academy that's coming up. So if you just don't have enough games for those guys. So we may have to try to find a place for them. But Jonathan Bond right now is our number 1, and Jimmy's our number 2, and we'll see how the season plays out. But I like our young core.
Yes, on the DP conversation, are there any good candidates? Or can you share a bit of where?
There's lots of good candidates.
Maybe, or when the timeline that we
We're pushing. We're trying to get people in here, as I mentioned earlier, for players. We'd like to get players in as soon as possible. That helps them acclimatize to the group, acclimatize to the style of play. So we're pushing to try to get these deals done as fast as possible. We'll see. These deals are, like I said, are very complicated, and you never know. Sometimes you think you're there, and then you wake up the next day and the deal's dead. So it's tricky.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before we go over to Zoom, anybody else in the room before we head to Zoom? Hey, Jack, you want to call on someone in the Zoom?
Yeah, they can hear you.
Okay, great. Charles, you're up.
Hi, Pat, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Pat, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, great. This is Charles Pro from LSoccer.com.
Hi, Charles.
2 questions. One is, can you speak a little more about Guilherme and what made you decide that he was the right investment for a designated player level contract?
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds like the game model, as you have established, is going to continue. Do you expect it to be the same style of player?
relatively speaking, yes. I think there's going to be moments now that we have more attacking talent in the squad. There could be moments where you'd see one more attacker on the field than we normally have. But we see him at this stage on the left wing coming inside, just the same role he played with Santos. He's had there's a narrative out there saying that he's not a goal scorer, but I find it hard to believe over the last 2 years he's averaged 23 points, goals and assists over the last 2 years. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. I think he's very, very good at creating goal scoring opportunities and scoring himself. So I think he'll be very successful in our league.
We got Sam. Try this again. Might a little bit, but
Okay, Sam, go ahead. Sam?
Guess not. Yes, I can. Happy New Year to you, Sam. Not really. I've been pretty busy. I just kind of watched 15 minutes yesterday. I watched the penalty kick shootout with Morocco. Yeah, Sam, it'd be almost unfair for me to comment on it. Like I said, I've watched probably 8 minutes yesterday in the penalty kick shootout. That's it. Unfortunately, been trying to work on these deals. Yeah, we're watching. Our scouting department watches the AFCON. We don't get a specific report coming right out of the AFCON, but certainly if there are players that we think will help our team, we're not afraid to go after them.
All right, we got one more on the Zoom.
So I kind of missed the last one.
I think my understanding of the question was, is this a team that's designed to win now or be maybe transitional towards the future?
Yeah, Sam, I didn't quite catch, so hopefully this answers your question. And I know I'll address Brooklyn Reigns as well. I think Brooklyn is a player that started with our second team. We purchased for a pretty small price from Salt Lake his rights, brought him in, and he's developed here now for the last 4 years. It was an opportunity from the Revolution to get a pretty high price for a young player. The coach of the U20 team is there that coached him successfully with the U20s and the national team. He's now there, and Brooklyn had a year left in his deal. So you have to make a decision whether you can re-sign him or you try to get the most out of that. So Brooklyn and his agent indicated that's something they wanted to pursue, so we pursued it. And, we're happy for him. I think Brooklyn is a great kid, and he's still a very young player, and will probably get better as he moves along in his career. But we're happy for him, and we loved having him in here. But at the same token, when you talk about, is this a team to win now? Yes, that's the reason why we're changing from a young player like a Brooklyn Reigns, and not to say that we couldn't have him develop and be successful for us, but that's why we're bringing in a Bouzat. That's why we're bringing in a Guilherme. That's why we're bringing in a Halter. That's why we're bringing in a Héctor Herrera. We want to have a competitive team this year. We want to be a sustainable winner, and that's our goal for the season. Yep.
Thanks, Sam. One more on the Zoom. Go ahead, Joey.
Hey, Pat. With the addition of Guilherme in, how does that whole puzzle fit together with Jack on the right wing? And I know you guys want to have Anali really involved. Do Guilherme and Anali coexist? Does Jack maybe move back into the midfield? Do you think he plays in 10? How does that whole puzzle fit?
That's a great question for Ben Olsen. That's a great question, but that's when we play fantasy football and move the magnets around the board. I have opinions, but I'm not the coach, and I'm not going to get in the way of our coach making those decisions. But it's a good problem to have. Let's put it that way.
Thanks so much, Pat.
Yep, you're welcome.
One more. Jesus, go ahead.
Hey, Ben. I'm sorry. Hey, Pat.
It better not be a Ben question. Yeah, some of the players were identified before the season ended. We try to get ahead of that as best we can. Try to think a window ahead. We also brought in a new director of identification to help us with that process. But I would say between Asher, Ben, and I, we were probably started talking about the roster for the following season sometime late August, maybe early September. But at that stage, that's when Asher and I start piling up the air miles and start going watching these guys live. So, but yeah, we try to do that as soon as possible to try to get on top of it.
You were saying earlier how, it's not per se playoffs with buzz, but in your mind as a GM, how much pressure do you feel that you do have to make the playoffs? Like you said, 3 playoffs in 5 years, maybe 10 seasons, and then like there's more change that needs to be made at the front of the staff.
Yeah, I put the pressure not just it's on everybody here, and that's not just myself, Ben Olsen, or Asher Mendelson. That's pressure on the entire organization and our soccer operations department. It's important for us. We have goals and we have aspirations to be a playoff team each and every year. So last year, from a playoff perspective, we were disappointed, but we also set ourselves up to give us a chance here to build the team that we're starting to put together that we're really excited about. So, and hopefully that, we'll sustain this group for a while. Like I said, certainly this is planned for the next 18 months. But moving forward, we'd like to not get in that position again where we're struggling against the cap.
Final question. This year you guys have won this tournament, League Cup that you guys are not playing in. How will that hinder you guys or help you guys?
It'll help us and give us a little more time, I think, to prepare for games. And the disappointing part, I think, last year on the Leagues Cup, and it's also the format with the tight schedule. I believe it's the same this year as well. Is if you go out in the first game and you take a loss in the first game, it's really difficult to get through. So for us, at times, I think that was a little frustrating. We didn't have a good result in the first game, and the next 2 games were disappointing. We just wanted to prepare then for the rest of the season. So this year, I think we've got, like you said, the 2 competitions, and we'll try to roll out and put the best, most competitive group that we can on the field for each and every game.
Thanks, man.
Yep, no problem.
Diego, you're up.
Hey, Pat. Just talking a little more on a reflective level. You're reaching half a decade with the Dynamo, your second stint now on the management. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you like to, mix in analytics, scouting, and maybe even your experience as a former Dynamo when it comes to things like, building that culture, getting players, and kind of like, not spill the whole secret, but like walk me through a little what goes through your head.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, and I think every team would say this. They'll just sit down and whether it's the coach and GM and director of identification, the technical director, and they all kind of come to a consensus about what the profile is. So, for example, if we say we need a vertical 10, that's the type of position we need, and then we will go and let our data group take a look at it and come up with a lot of names, and we'll figure out the price point where we're at, and then after that we rely on our scouts to take a look at them to see if they fit those profiles, and we kind of move from there. But it's pretty general of what most teams do. We have a few secrets that we like to keep to ourselves, but for the most part, that's how we go find a player.
All right, we got.
You being a former player, does that have any impact with how you view?
Well, you'd have to ask or you guys could be the judge of that, I guess, with our roster. I certainly think as an ex-player, one of the things, and we talk about the 4 guys that we signed, is I believe leadership and the championship pedigree means a lot, and I think we showed that in the off season from 22 to 23. We made a lot of those signings, and last year, as I'd mentioned, we didn't have a lot of flexibility to go make any signings, let alone go and change the roster like we are this year. So our focus definitely this year was to make sure that we have those, and I think being an ex-player, the story the anecdote I'll add is in 2003 I joined San Jose Earthquakes. I'd won a few things in college and won, I think, in the Canadian Soccer League, but I met Jeff Agus, who to me is one of the best leaders in our game in MLS history. Well, I think he won 5 championships, but he taught me a lot in how to lead and how to be a winner each day, to compete in every little 5-a-side game. I don't know if he ever lost a 5-a-side game, but I think those things and those tangibles certainly are something that we go in when we talk to players, when we watch players. It's certainly things that I look for, and it's something all our staff do as well.
And then one question, you mentioned Brooklyn having such a successful time coming up and making an impact on the first team. How important is it for you this season with all the signings to keep that door open for D2 players and that the academy to, you know, keep making some progress within the first?
Yeah, very. And you know, with the last 2 years, I think we've done a really good job of exposing our academy players to the second team level. We're still not quite there to seeing those guys break through with the first team. But I think for us, we can go, you know, these players are more expensive when they have a history of winning, they're captains, they're more expensive. So one of the opportunities the young guys have is, as I've mentioned before, is you get an opportunity. Part of it is because of the cap space and where you are on the cap. But we're looking forward to try to get some of these young guys through. And the one thing is, by playing Brooklyn Reigns, you know, the Jack McGlynn's, the Inallis, you know, Ben's not afraid to play young players. But they've got to prove it on the field. They've got to prove it in training. And they got to be able to show that they can help us win.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Bienvenido a todos. Estamos muy emocionados ahora porque tenemos 4 jugadores nuevos. Guilherme, Héctor Herrera, Lucas Halter, Agustín Bouzat. Welcome, everybody. Excited to have you here. We're very excited today to welcome in 4 new signings for the Houston Dynamo. Guilherme, Héctor Herrera, Lucas Halter, and Agustín Bouzat. As I mentioned to you all before, we're going to have translation here, so if we can, as much as possible, try and keep the questions relatively short so our translators can keep up. But we're so excited to have you here today, and we're going to get things kicked off. We can take questions right here.
Translation for that question. So what made you come to Houston, and how was that process coming into MLS?
Buenas tardes. A ver, creo primero que nada el deseo de regresar al club y obviamente también por parte de ellos, creo que eso facilita mucho las cosas. ¿Qué me hizo regresar a Houston? Es muy fácil, ¿no? Mis hijos viven aquí, están muy felices aquí. Creo que la historia entre el club y yo no había terminado de la mejor manera o como yo quería. Creo que se quedaron con una impresión mía que no era yo, Héctor, y obviamente que eso es una de las cosas que también me motivó a regresar para poder cerrar bien este capítulo y obviamente quedarme muchos años para poder conquistar cosas importantes con el club, porque creo que es un club grande que tiene una gran ciudad y merece estar en lo más alto de la MLS.
Yeah, the return to the club. We both wanted to do it, the club and me. Another reason was my kids lived here, and also that season of 2024, it ended the way I didn't want to. So I want to come here, close this chapter good, in a good way, and help the team succeed.
Héctor, buen día. Gusto verte otra vez. En la vida tenemos segundas oportunidades, ciertamente, pero esta sí, ¿la ves como una oportunidad para acabar aquí este proyecto con Houston, con esta comunidad?
The question is, do you see this opportunity as a second opportunity coming to the club?
No, primero que nada creo que agradecerle a Ted, a Pat, a Asher y Ben por darme la oportunidad de poder regresar con el deseo mío, ¿no? Obviamente. Tenía muchas otras opciones donde podía tal vez ganar más dinero, pero creo que en el momento que paso de mi carrera y de mi vida personal no es mi objetivo principal, ¿no? Y creo que este ha sido un club en el cual me recibieron siempre como en mi casa. Y nada, estoy de vuelta para para regresar y ganar cosas importantes con el club. Obviamente seguir con el proyecto en el cual había venido la primera vez y creo que es el mejor momento para regresar con una mentalidad ganadora, ¿no? Me fui un año y gracias a Dios me fui a un equipo que logramos ganar todo y me gustaría poder traer esa motivación o esa mentalidad ganadora aquí y contagiar a todos los demás, ¿no? Creo que los jugadores que están a mi lado son jugadores nuevos que va llegando al club, pero tienes esa mentalidad y esas ganas y ese deseo de poder ganar y creo que eso es lo más importante, ¿no? Que nos contagiemos entre nosotros y creemos una mentalidad ganadora en el club y en el cual nos podamos apoyar y trabajar todos juntos hacia un mismo objetivo, ¿no?
Yeah, very thankful for the opportunity for Pat and Ted coming back to the club. This club has always been home for me. They received me as family. This is family to me. And my objective is to come and win and help the team win. Of course, with the new mentality and just help the team win with my teammates and together go on to win the championship.
Y rápido para agregar, platícanos más del grupo que ves aquí que se está armando, no solamente los tres caballeros a tu lado, pero en general de hace un año cuando no estabas.
How do you see this new group this season?
Puedo preguntarle a Lucas si quiere qué tal se siente de la llegada o algo.
Lucas, la pregunta, primero bienvenido, perdón.
Question to Lucas. How do you see this new group? You can answer in English or Spanish.
Yeah, English, okay. Well, I see this group like Héctor said, with a good mentality, a mentality that we are prepared to win, to get trophies and big things. So we are so happy to be here. It was a very good welcome from everyone, players, staff, and that's it. We are here for big things.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Dos preguntas para Héctor y para Agustín. Héctor, ¿qué podemos ver de distinto en ti? Que comentas, te fuiste, te convertiste en bicampeón, regresas a Dynamo. ¿Qué podemos notar de diferente en la primera y en esta segunda etapa? Y si me permites, Agustín, ¿cómo te sientes con tu llegada en el club?
To Hector, what can we see different for you this year? And then for Agustín, what are your expectations for this club?
Buenos días a todos. La verdad que muy contento de estar en este club, con mucha expectativa. Bien, como dice Lucas y Héctor, nos hemos encontrado con un grupo de jugadores y un staff con mucha disposición al trabajo, que eso es importante. Y bueno, ir conociéndonos de a poco. Recién llevamos 3 entrenamientos. Armar un buen grupo competitivo para estar a la altura de lo que este club refiere. Así que la llegada hasta el momento muy bien, muy contento, con mucha expectativa y con muchas ganas de pelear títulos con este club.
A ver, yo creo que dentro de la cancha no muda mucho, ¿no? Creo que sigo siendo el mismo jugador el cual estaba aquí. Obviamente, personalmente creo que mucho más tranquilo, más maduro, con otra mentalidad, ¿no? Como te comentaba, tuve la oportunidad de ir a un equipo que te llena de esa mentalidad ganadora y bueno, como lo dije hace un poco, espero poder contagiar de esa mentalidad ganadora para poder lograr cosas aquí en el club, que es por lo que estamos aquí, ¿no? Obviamente que el sueño es siempre jugar, pero creo que jugamos para ganar, ¿no? Entonces esperemos que con la fortaleza del grupo y con la gente que está llegando podamos formar una gran familia para lograr cosas importantes.
So to translate Augustín's answer, very happy to be here. Like how Lucas mentioned, it's a group of people here in this team. Everyone has the same mentality, which is very important. So far, my arrival has been good. The expectations is to win this season and win a lot. For Hector's answer, different mentality this year. I hope with my mentality this year to give that same mentality to my teammates, and together we can win. Which the goal is to win and win the championship. Being a captain, most of you guys were captains. How can you guys bring that experience here and make that as a family here?
vocês todos têm experiência de capitão, como que essa experiência pode ajudar o time nessa temporada?
Bom, primeiro, mostrar minha felicidade de estar aqui, muito feliz, grato a Deus por essa oportunidade. Já aproveitar também e agradecer ao Pat e o Asher, né, por me ligarem e fazer esse convite, então estou muito feliz de estar aqui. Bom, acho que a gente chega para agregar, assim como a gente fez no Brasil, no meu caso, no meu último clube Santos, é depositar todo o meu futebol aqui dentro para ajudar os meus companheiros, os que estão chegando e aqueles que aqui já estão, para a gente fazer um grande ano.
So he's super happy to be here. He wants to thank the entire staff, especially Pat and Asher, for trusting him. And as he did in the past, he arrives to add on to the team, collaborate, to achieve great things this season.
Just wanted to ask Guilherme and Lucas, there's a number of Brazilians on the team already. How is that helping you guys kind of gel with the team?
Tem vários brasileiros no time, como que isso ajuda a fortalecer o time e o entrosamento e tudo mais?
Temos muito brasileiros, o Héctor também já é quase um brasileiro, Agustín está quase também, nesses poucos dias, mas isso nos ajuda muito. Eu acho que, bom, primeiro ressaltar também, a gente foi muito bem recebido aqui, então isso ajuda muito. Então acredito muito que a nossa amizade como família, como os demais falaram aqui, a gente vai colocar dentro de campo em prática e com certeza os resultados positivos eles vão vir durante o ano.
Of course, there are many Brazilians, and that helps trying to convert some of the other ones into a Brazilian spirit. But they all feel like they were well received into the club and create that family spirit within the team.
Like, not only the Brazilians or the South Americans, everyone, they did a very good welcome to us, so we are so happy, and we feel that it's a happy changing room. The days are so happy here, and that's it. That's the mentality to bring the championship for our town.
To translate to English, as a player, what do you think you could bring to this team? And with your experience as well from the Argentinian League, what experience can you bring?
Bueno, un poco como dijo Héctor, vengo de un club en Argentina que los últimos 2 años nos ha tocado competir cosas importantes. Hemos obtenido títulos, entonces acoplarme a esa mentalidad ganadora que hablaba Héctor hace un rato. Creo que hay mucha calidad en este equipo. Tenemos todas las herramientas para poder competir, para poder ser protagonistas en el torneo. Y bueno, soy un jugador, un mediocampista que me gusta tener la pelota, ser dinámico, intentar ser lo más mixto posible, sea en ataque como en defensa. Me gusta jugar en corto, asociarme, y bueno, la verdad que por lo que he visto en los entrenamientos y demás, el entrenador busca e intenta también esa forma de jugar. Hay jugadores muy aptos para hacerlo, así que estoy muy cómodo y muy feliz por este nuevo proceso. Primero, es un salto profesional en mi carrera, importante, la verdad. Hay una calidad en la liga que creo que es muy alta, una competencia muy alta también. Y la verdad que desde el primer momento que me contactaron vi un club muy organizado, muy ordenado, y eso para cualquier futbolista es atractivo, porque siento que estamos en un lugar donde podemos crecer mucho, cada uno individualmente y colectivamente, y se pueden pelear cosas importantes. Eso siempre para todo deportista y para cada uno de nosotros es muy atractivo y genera mucha expectativa.
All right, to translate the first answer that Agustín said, in Argentina, I was able to compete at a high level, and I want to bring that mentality here to the MLS and to Houston. As a player, I like to have the ball. I'm very dynamic, and I like to help on and off the ball. And to answer his last question, The league is getting very competitive here in the U.S., and the club is great. The project really attracted me, and I'm just here to help the team grow and compete with my teammates. How would you compare the levels between the Liga MX to the MLS?
A ver, yo creo que estamos hablando de diferentes ligas y diferentes equipos, ¿no? Es verdad que el torneo pasado no nos fue muy bien. Digo no nos fue muy bien porque los acompañaba todo el tiempo, ¿no? Nunca dejé de seguirlos. Creo que han cambiado muchos jugadores y no tengo duda que este año será diferente al año pasado, ¿no? Entonces, no te puedo dar un ejemplo de en qué liga es mejor o qué equipo es mejor. Obviamente el Toluca está pasando por un momento increíble. Hemos tenido un año soñado e increíble y creo que lo siguen haciendo, ¿no? De 2 partidos llevan 2 ganados y nosotros pues, nos estamos preparando para un nuevo torneo, una nueva ilusión y un nuevo objetivo, ¿no? Entonces, lo importante es ahora prepararnos y hacer lo mejor posible la pretemporada y lo mejor posible de unión en el grupo, de crear esa familia que estamos hablando para así poder andar bien toda la temporada.
Yeah, we're talking about two different leagues, 2 different clubs. Last season, as we know, for the Dynamo, it didn't go as well, but that's the past, and now it's just about getting better for this season. So I can't give you an example in terms of like different levels. Toluca had a great season last season, and then they're on the path for success this season. But like I said, I'm with the Dynamo now, and it's very important for us to get prepared for the preseason and for the season ahead.
We talked a little bit about how the center backs plays here. We know like the league is so physically, and we have to be prepared. And they are very good defenders. So I will like help them what they want, and they will help me, and that's make a stronger team. So we don't have like enemies here. We are a family. But we are competitive. Everyone wants to play, but we are going to help each other to put Houston like in the top of the league.
Creo que lo más importante es enfocarnos en nosotros. Es verdad que son los actuales campeones y hay que felicitarlos y respetarlos, obviamente, por la calidad de jugadores que tienen. Pero lo principal es enfocarnos en nosotros, crear nuestro grupo, nuestra unión, nuestras fortalezas y competir, ¿no? Sabemos que no es fácil, tanto como Miami y otros equipos en la MLS que son muy fuertes, pero bueno, no nos podemos preparar pensando en un equipo, sino creo que lo más importante siempre es pensar en nosotros, hacernos fuertes nosotros y ir paso a paso, ¿no? Lo principal es prepararnos ahora en la pretemporada y después hay que ir a paso, ¿no? Obviamente a corto plazo los playoffs creo que son algo muy importante en lo cual tenemos que poner la mira, entrar como sea y después obviamente que la MLS Cup es el sueño de todos, pero lo principal es enfocarnos en nosotros y prepararnos lo mejor posible. Como lo dije hace un rato, ¿no? Creo que la impresión que quedó mía del último partido mío aquí en el club y en la liga no es lo que es Héctor Herrera, ¿no? También un poco el regreso es eso, ¿no? Poder mostrar lo que realmente soy y por eso estoy aquí, ¿no? El camino al Mundial solo tú me pones porque yo tampoco estoy en esa corrida, ¿no? La verdad que no pienso ni sueño con llegar ahora mismo a un Mundial más. Creo que como lo dije hace un rato, no tengo otras prioridades en mi vida, tanto personales como deportivas y bueno, personales, gracias a Dios, ahora están aquí en Houston. Y deportivas estoy, como siempre lo he dicho, ¿no? Estoy en el equipo donde quiero estar, con la gente que quiero estar y donde me siento en casa, ¿no? Gracias a Dios tengo la oportunidad de poder regresar aquí en un lugar donde fui muy feliz, donde le di muchas cosas al club y quiero continuar con el proyecto que teníamos y obviamente ahora acompañado de nuevos jugadores y algunos compañeros que ya estaban y creo que juntos podemos conseguir cosas importantes porque creo que con la calidad que tienen los jugadores que van llegando y la calidad humana, eso creo que va a ayudar muchísimo. A ver, creo que he regresado a Houston porque me siento en casa, me siento querido. Siempre he tenido un agradecimiento muy especial a este club, un cariño especial. Me he identificado mucho con él, con la afición. Obviamente que me encantaría poder hacer mis últimos años de carrera aquí, pero bueno, creo que todo el mundo lo sabe que siempre mi sueño ha sido poder volver a Pachuca por lo menos un año para jugar mis últimos partidos, pero bueno, habría que hablar con Jesús porque creo que sigue enojado conmigo.
Thank you, everybody, for hopping in with us one more time. We have head coach Ben Olsen here as we kick off the 2026 season. We'll open for questions. Go ahead, Nate.
In a new season, 4 new players, new beard.
Ooh. I feel good. I'm jazzed. Everyone's jazzed this time of year, but again, with I think some of the new additions and new energy around here, there is just a little bit better energy in this building, and couple that with that we've got a point to prove, and we're coming off of a year where we let our fans down and the community down, and we want to rectify that. We want to get back to where we need to be, and that's competing for trophies and getting ourselves back in the postseason. We've spent a lot of time in the offseason. We've had a lot of time, unfortunately. And Pat, Asher, myself, the scouting department, we went to work. And I think when all this is said and done over the next few weeks, I think we're going to have a team that is able to, compete and certainly get us into the postseason as a goal. And if things go well, as far as gelling on the field and off the field, and things go our way, this could be a fun group. But in the meantime, there's a lot of work to do. As we bring new pieces into this, that's that much more work to make them gel on the field, and it'll take a little bit of time. But I'm excited.
Ben, last season, at one point you told us you were trying to find another Héctor Herrera. Now you have him back.
I said that?
You said that, I remember.
No, I don't know if that's a direct quote, but okay. Yeah, we kind of threw you for a loop on that one, I'm sure. I don't know if anyone saw that one coming. I introduced the new guys the other day to everybody, and I just forgot to introduce Héctor because it was as if he never left. He was sitting in the same seat, and it's wonderful to have him back. If you ask me why is Héctor coming back? One, he's a great soccer player. We all know that. The circumstances are different. The timing, the expectations are going to be different with Héctor. But he also loves this club, and he loves this community. And so when we heard about his desire to come back to this club in this area, and there's a couple layers to why that's going on. Certainly his family's here, and that's one of them. And the negotiations were fairly easy, and again, it wasn't the circumstances that he was on before. And so again, he's fit right in with the guys. The last thing I'll say about Héctor is Héctor went and won. He just won 2 trophies again. This is what he does. He's a winner, and I know he didn't play a lot, and you could argue he wasn't a huge part of that team, but I know differently. I know what a big part of the team he was down in Toluca and how important he was to that. And I guarantee you they don't win championships without him.
Ben, I know we talked to you a lot about the offense last year. Now you kind of have, seems like a lot of offense. Guilherme coming in. You still have Lawrence, who's going to be a big part of that. Jack, we saw play on the right, some central. A rumored DP, another rumored DP that's an attacker. How do you kind of see this team fitting together in that front 4 or 5 players?
I think that's it. It's front 4, it's front 5. Are we playing with 2 wingers? Are we playing with in a more central, inverted way with some of our midfielders? There's a lot to play with, and I feel like if we do this right over the next few weeks and we bolster 1 or 2 other areas, we're going to have more flexibility with our group, offensively and defensively, than I've ever had. We've ever had here at the Dynamo. Right? We've usually been carrying 13, 14 type players and working off of one structure. If we do this right, I think the flexibility both throughout the year but also within games is going to be a lot of fun. And looking down the bench and seeing some real options is something, frankly, I don't think we've had a lot of that can really change the game or help us in other ways.
Hi, Ben.
How are you? See.
What are your expectations with the new players that are coming in? 3 huge signings that were captains in their former teams. What contributions do you expect from them? And also, what role do you foresee for Héctor on his second return to Houston?
Yeah.
Going forward, what do you
Well, I'll answer the first part. We wanted to bring quality in, experience, and winners. And, all 4 of them, including Héctor, have that. So that's those are boxes we wanted to check. Within that, they all have some personality. The lights are going to come on, and they're not going to shy away. Again, from the environments and the leagues that they're coming from, the pressure, the intensity that they've been playing at. When it's game time, I think they're going to bring their best for this group, and that's important. Héctor, we have very good conversations with Héctor about with him understanding his role in this for this next phase of his career. Is it one in the way that he had in Toluca? I don't know. Maybe. He may show us that he needs to be on the field every game. I'm not sure. That's what this preseason's for. And I think he understands that. We've been very clear with that, and he's been very clear that he's coming here to accept any role and to help this club get back into the postseason and to help me, because I'll need him. And again, it's been just seeing him every day and how he works with the players already. And again, I think he's going to find the right role. He's going to want to play. Don't get me wrong. There is going to be some players this year that need managed because everybody wants to play. But I rather have that. Teams that are very easily managed that I've had in my past, they usually lose. So that's I look forward to those challenges to see who ends up being on the field the most, and also creating a team environment where there's enough on the bench to come in and they feel like they're contributing to the success of this team.
Coach, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Happy New Year. I sense the excitement in your voice and your responses. How does this in a World Cup year translate to better promoting the team and maybe to the casual fan? Many of us that follow the club obviously know the players, the quality. How do you transmit that excitement onto the casual fan to grow the Houston Dynamo brand in Houston?
Well, we got to win. We got to take care of our home games. We got to entertain and send these people home happy that come out and support us, right? They'll spread the word if things are going well and we're playing in the right way. As far as, how can we kind of capitalize on the World Cup, certainly there's going to be more eyeballs and more headlines and, cameras as the World Cup starts to creep nearer. But I don't know. I'm pretty focused on this lane, and hopefully, the front office and everybody around here can give us a little bit more juice, and maybe that translates. I know there is a spike traditionally when the World Cup's happening for the surrounding soccer arenas or venues. So I don't know. It's a good question. All we can do here is win and put on an entertaining product. We've talked about home games last year of how it wasn't good enough. A lot of losses, and that's where we start, because if you take care of your home games, that's a pretty good way to get into the playoffs.
And quickly, Coach, personally, how are you feeling? You seem again excited. Are you more excited than the previous years? And for you personally, is this keep you doing this and wanting to do this long term?
I'm concerning how I was last year at this time. You sense doom and gloom. Maybe I was onto something. I am excited. I'm jazzed. Look, it's been a long off season, and I'm recharged. I think sometimes when you're off that long, there's a lot to process, and I'm excited about the work that we've done in the off season to get to this point. But with an understanding that there's so much work to do in the next 6 weeks to start the season, and then everybody else is doing a lot of work in the offseason too and building their team. And so all we can do is keep pushing. And again, we're not done. We want to add 1 or 2 more pieces to this group. And yeah, I'm feeling good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And more or less, talk about the structure of the team. It's more or less a bit of a good problem, right, to have a number or a plethora of options of loadingness, you could say, in the midfield and in the back. Right, you could almost argue that it's probably 5 new signings, including Shevchenko, his timeout last season. So having these number of players compete for these number of spots on the team on a sort of reduced season with no Leagues Cup, how does that more or less lay out for the season for y'all?
Well, I hope it, is helpful. I mean, things happen. Look at last year and some of the injuries, and I think we had some trouble with depth last year, whether it was Franco or Eric, and you mentioned a few of them. So that depth continues to help you throughout a long season. I know there's a break, but all that break does is squeeze games on the front end and squeeze games on the back end. So now you have more Wednesday, Wednesday situations where you're going to need that depth. But from a competitive standpoint, again, we just – this will be probably one of the most competitive teams that we've had. I've probably ever had in my time coaching. So that's exciting to me. That in a lot of ways, you could say from a management standpoint, it's going to make my life a little bit harder. But from a coaching standpoint and winning games, this is what you want from a coaching staff and a team, and I'm looking forward to it because, again, as long as you're doing well on the field and the results are coming, it's a very, very healthy thing. And as I said, it gives you more a bigger ability to adapt within games, which I don't think we've necessarily had for a while.
Coach, what are you expecting to see from Héctor Herrera on the field? It doesn't matter if he's a starter or backup or whatever. What kind of Héctor do you want to see with your team?
I haven't seen Héctor for a year. We're 3 sessions into it. I can tell you what I've seen so far, and he's still a world-class talent, and he's still an amazing soccer player. Where is he at in fitting in with this new group and how we design this? What is his fitness levels? What role is he playing, whether he's starting, whether he's coming off the bench, whether he's not playing, whether he doesn't get into a game, right? These are all scenarios I don't necessarily know how this plays out. And I've told Héctor that, and, he understands that. Again, that doesn't mean that Héctor's going to be all smiles if he doesn't get in their game. I know him as well. He's a competitor. It's why he's done what he's done in his career. But ultimately, we built this team kind of without Hector, and then Hector kind of came into the fold. So that is going to be part of this as we go forward. And again, I deal with that with honest dialogue and making sure all the cards are on the table. And again, we have enough of a history, and there's love between us that hopefully I think this is going to be a real net positive of having him back at this club. If I didn't think that, we wouldn't do this.
Coach, you mentioned expect a couple more signings. There's rumors that Mateus Bouzat from Preseason could potentially land in Houston. Just your overall thoughts, and would you like to see a player like that on your roster?
We don't comment on players under contract with other teams.
What Pat said. Yeah.
Ben, Houston soccer community hit hard this offseason with the club cutting ties with Glenn Davis.
Yeah.
You have a comment on that? And
Sure. Personally, I had a great relationship with Glenn. He was on par to me with Dave Johnson at DC United, who was there forever and still does the radio there. And I had the pleasure of working with Glenn every week and having a phone call to get him a little bit more well-versed on us for television. We had a great relationship, and he was is and was a big part of the Houston Dynamo culture. He's been there from the start. So got a lot of love for him.
Ben, just one more for me. Last year, you guys don't make the playoffs. Coming into this season, is it playoffs or bust? What are your expectations
Sure.
for the team early on?
Yeah, sure. That's the goal. So that was the goal last year. It didn't happen. So we need to put ourselves in the postseason. So however you want to say that, bust, and that's fine with me. That's the pressure we're putting on ourselves, and we believe we have a team to get into the postseason. So yeah, that's the expectation, and that's what we're aiming for. And again, this league is you start there, and then if things start to gel, and all of a sudden this group is clicking, and you have a good culture, anything can happen, as you saw in the first year when we my first year.